Hi everyone, it's Christine from Christine's Stampin' Spot, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and today I have a really fun Halloween card to share with you guys using some new products from the brand new, just went live yesterday, 2018 Stampin' Up! Holiday Catalog. This particular stamp set that we are using can be found on page 49 of the holiday catalog. It's the Cauldron Bubbles stamp set, and it has coordinating framelits that you can also purchase as a bundle if you wish and save 10%. So we're also using a couple of other fun items from this Toil and Trouble suite. We are using some of this beautiful black ribbon for today's card, some of the new blends, and some of the spider trinkets, and some of the designer series paper as well. Now be sure to check my blog and also the video, two videos before this one. I have an online card class that is still open for registration until Monday that is using this bundle, and all you have to purchase for that class is the bundle, and then I will provide you the materials in the mail and a video, a step-by-step video tutorial on how to create 6 cards, 2 each of 3 designs. So I wanted to show you this stamp set in action so you can decide if perhaps you might like to sign up for that class. So this again is today's card. It's really hard to see on camera, and my lighting is kind of not that great right now, but this background panel is made using our new black foil sheets. You know how often you will use the copper foil paper or the gold foil or the silver foil? Well, in the holiday catalog, we have black, which is perfect for our Halloween cards. And I have added our beautiful new shimmer paint. We have 4 different colors of shimmer paint in the new holiday catalog. I added the champagne mist to the back of this, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. It will show up better on the pictures, which will be on my blog, and in the description box of this video below I will have links to my blog as well as other informational links as well. I wish it was showing up better on camera, but in person it's really glittery and sparkly and really, really pretty. Here's our little witch that we have colored with our new blends, and we've cut out along with the broom from the coordinating framelits. And then we have this fun bow up here, this little spider element, and then just a simple Happy Halloween sentiment with some designer series papers. So really fun, I think, Halloween card. I hope you love it. I really want to focus today on the coloring with the blends, so I'm not going to fast forward through that part so you guys can really see what great results you can get from these Stampin' Up! Alcohol markers. So let's go ahead and get started. To save time, because the coloring does take a little bit of time, I've already stamped out my witch and my broom onto thick Whisper White cardstock. I definitely recommend using thick Whisper White when working with our Stampin' Right markers, which are our alcohol markers. They, I just find that they blend better with the thicker paper. So you can do it on regular Whisper White, don't get me wrong, but I do recommend, I just find that I personally get better results with the thick Whisper White. So I already went ahead and stamped these out on just some scrap paper that I had laying about. You want to make sure when you're using the blends, or any alcohol marker for that matter, that you're using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. It is alcohol marker friendly, and it will prevent your ink from running. So that's what I stamped these guys with. Before we get to the coloring, however, I do want to show you this beautiful embossed background that I did on our new black foil paper. I used new from the holiday catalog, the Tin Tile Texture Dynamics embossing folder. I think I said that wrong, but I'll have a link in my blog too. And my blog will have the correct name of all of the products used, as well as links to where you can purchase them. This is my favorite embossing folder probably ever. Definitely my favorite in the holiday catalog. And you come out with a design that is just absolutely gorgeous. Look at that. And now on this foil paper, how beautiful that is. So what I did is I just grabbed some scrap paper. I grabbed my champagne mist shimmer paint, give it a nice shake. When you're shaking it, you're not only activating the paint, but you're also getting some paint into the lid. This is the same little technique that I use on another card I have on YouTube using the Country Home Suite, which is a new suite in the holiday catalog as well. There are so many other techniques where you can use these paints that I will get to, but I wanted to try this on the foil paper as well, and I found that while it's probably not showing up the greatest on camera, it really does have a beautiful result on this foil paper in person. So In the other card where I was using cardstock that I had embossed, I rubbed it like this over the cardstock. That didn't really work for the foil paper. You kind of have to pounce it instead. So I'm just sort of pouncing this shimmer paint, and I'm using it from the lid that's gathered in the lid when I shook it up, and I'm pouncing, and then I'm lightly rubbing after I have pounced. I found that giving it that pounce, that initial pounce, helps it sort of stick and not kind of wipe off when you rub. So give it an initial pounce and then rub it, and I found that that helps the paint stay better on the foil paper. So I just did it lightly. As you can see, you really don't need to use a lot of the paint for this technique. Now let's see if I can have any better luck showing you this one on camera. I just don't think it's going to show up very well because the foil paper has a glare to it. So that shimmer and shine from that paint really isn't showing up very well, but hopefully it will show up on the pictures on my blog, and in person, I promise you, it's very beautiful. Worth that extra, 30 seconds of time it took to do that. It really gives it a beautiful look in person. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside and let the paint dry, and we're going to do our coloring now. We're going to use lots of Stampin' blends for our coloring on this particular image. The one marker that you're definitely going to want to use is the color lifter. This helps eliminate any mistakes, and you're also going to see when we use the black, it helps us add some shading to our black witch's hat and cape. So, and plus it's just a must-have for fixing any accidents that you may have if you accidentally color out of the lines. This thing is like magic and it erases it right out. So I always recommend the color lifter marker. If you're familiar with Copic markers at all, the colorless blender is what Copic markers makes this. You can liken this to that. Although quite frankly, to be perfectly honest with you, I have had better luck with this in terms of erasing my mistakes. So love that. All right, so to start with, we're going to start with our light basic black and our dark basic black Stampin' Blend markers. If you're unfamiliar with them, again, they are alcohol-based markers. You can liken them to Copic markers. Like other alcohol markers on the market, they have two ends, a finer tipped end here, as you can see, which I really don't tend to use because I'm used to using a brush tip end. I've been using alcohol markers for years, long before Stampin' Up! Carried them, so I'm used to that type of end. But you could certainly use the thinner end for a smaller space of your coloring if you're just not as comfortable with the longer brush end. So either end is perfectly acceptable for your coloring. So we're going to start with our light basic black and our dark basic black. And I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see the coloring. And like I said, I'm not going to fast forward through this because I really want you guys to see how these markers work. But if you are already familiar, of course, you can just fast forward through this part or speed it up a bit if you prefer, and then get to the actual making of the card, whatever you prefer. So normally I start with my dark marker first, but the blacks I have found in playing with the basic black, light and dark markers, I have found that they work better because they are so dark. It actually works better to put a little bit of the light down first where you want to have your shadow. So wherever you would have put your dark marker first, go ahead and lay some light marker down. And again, normally I just go straight to the dark color first, but I've just found I get a better blend with these blacks by doing it this way. Now I'm taking the dark and going right back over where I just laid that light down. Does that make sense? So I'm just retracing my steps here, and I'm just simply laying this dark basic black marker down where I want there to be some shading, or the darker parts of my hat, if that makes sense. And now I'm coming in with the lighter marker again, and I'm just going to blend this out into the white space that remains. Now, these, like I was saying, when we just first started coloring with this basic black color family of markers, that's very, very dark. So the shading is very subtle. In person, right now, I can see a shadow, a difference. I can see a gradation between light and dark, but it's very subtle and most likely is not showing up on camera. So I'm going to show you what to do in just a moment if you want a little bit more of a noticeable shadow when using the basic black markers. These are the darkest markers that we have, I believe, so I haven't encountered this with any other markers, and you could certainly use our smoky slate instead of the blacks if you prefer. Or you can do what I'm going to show you right now and just simply take your color lifter. Now that you have your color down, I want there to be more of a shadow right here up the top of this hat. I feel like a light source would hit right here. So do you see how I'm just sort of in a circular motion, rubbing my color lifter right there, and it's taken some of that dark marker off, and now we have this light shadow. Can you guys see that? Let me just make sure you can see that. Okay. And then I feel like there might also be some shadows here on the brim of her hat. So I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm just very carefully putting some of my color lifter there, and we'll leave it at that. Now, because this is so dark, you want to take your tip of your, oh my gosh, I think I was off camera when I just did that. I'm so sorry. All I did was put some of my color lifter here as well, just to enhance the shading there. And now what I was saying is I have a little bit of black on the tip of my marker because the black markers are so dark. So all you need to do is just on a scratch piece of paper, wipe off the tip of your marker and you'll be fine, ready to go. Okay. Now we're gonna go back to our light basic black marker, and I'm gonna start working on her cloak. So I'm going to just put the light down, again, just the light where I want it to be darkest. So kind of up along her body and her skirt is certainly going to be darker. Up here by her leg, over here where the cape folds as well. So this is sort of how I've mapped out where my darkest colors of this side of the cloak are going to be. I always work in very small sections when I'm using the alcohol markers because I find I get much better blended results. Because the paper is, I'm working in a smaller section, so it stays wetter longer and therefore lets me blend out. Now I'm simply taking my dark basic black marker and I am running right over what I just laid down. So I'm just repeating this step with the darker color. Again, I only do this for this dark black marker family. I don't really do this for the other colors just because this is so dark. I have found this gives me a little bit of a better result. And again, as I said a moment ago, the basic black marker family is so dark that I can see a subtle shift in colors from light to dark. I can see, you know, a little bit of a shadow and a gradation of color, but you guys probably can't on camera. So that's why I'm bringing the color lifter in. And using that technique. It's a brilliant technique. I love it. Here, and again, you probably can't see it on camera, but right here where I'm pointing with the tip of the color lifter is some natural shading that I got from the markers that I can see in person. That again is very subtle and you probably can't see it on camera. So I'm just going to take my color lifter and in that natural spot where I already got some shading, I'm simply very carefully, lightly, don't press down too hard, just in a circular motion, lifting some of that color up. And then I'm just going to clean the tip of my marker. So did you see how I did that? It's very easy to do. And it's just sort of magic in my opinion. I love how great this color blender is. You would do the same thing if you went out of the lines. You would just in a circular motion go over and over and over and over again the area that you went out, and eventually it's going to erase. It's going to take a few tries on darker colors, but lighter colors will come right off immediately. It's almost as if it was an eraser. It's awesome. So I'm just repeating the same process here on these smaller portions of the cloak. And I'm not going to worry too much about the color lifter there because since those are sort of under her body and dress, there wouldn't be much light source hitting that area anyway. So we are done with the basic black markers. Now I'm going to move on to my next color, which is going to be the purple. Let me bring my original card over for a minute. So the basic black that we just used is new, both those markers are new in the holiday catalog. The Highland Heather that we're going to use for the purple next is also, I believe, new to the holiday catalog. If not, then it was new to the annual catalog. But it's relatively new, if not brand new. And so we're going to be using light and dark Highland Heather next. I'm going to go back to using these how you've seen me use them in other videos in the past. And I'm simply going to lay the dark down first, where I want, you know, it to be darkest, where the shadow is going to be. So I'm going to do the little band on her hat first. So I just laid down the dark Highland Heather, and now I'm going to pick up the light Highland Heather marker and simply pull this out and down and fill in that white space. Now, as I've said, if you've seen any of my other videos, I like to do this twice with the blends. I find that it irons out that transition between dark and light just a little bit better to have a little bit more of the wet marker down on the paper. I just find makes a huge difference. You don't have to do this a second time if you don't want to. I just really love the results that I get. Okay, so there's the little brim of her hat. Now we're going to do her little shirt. So I'm going to start with the dark again, and I'm just sort of plotting out where I feel it's going to be darkest, where there's going to be a shadow is what I mean when I say where it's going to be darkest. We missed a little bit of her cloak. I'll come back and fix that in a minute. I forgot there was more cloak up here, so I'll fix that in just a sec too. So I'm just mapping out with the dark Highland Heather where the shadow is going to be. Then I'm going to come in with the light and then just push the dark out into the white space and fill the rest of it in. And this first time that I do it, I'm very light and I'm really just getting the color down and saturating the paper. And then I'm going to come back and hit it one more time, and that's really going to help it blend in a way that I think is really visually beautiful and dramatic, but not too dramatic. I really like to see a gradation of color in my colored images. I like to see the lights and darks and the shadows if I can. And I like that with either watercoloring or alcohol marker coloring. And so I really like to find techniques and tips and tricks to get that look without putting in too much work and making it too complicated. So there we go. There's her little shirt all colored. We're still gonna need the Highland Heather in a moment. So let's set that aside for just a second. And next I'm going to grab my blacks again because I accidentally forgot the top portion of her cloak, and I also forgot her boots. What witch doesn't have black boots, right? So we actually weren't done with the black markers just yet. So up here where it's really teeny tiny, this was where you might want to use the other smaller end of the marker if you are not comfortable with the brush end. I'm just going to use the brush end because I'm comfortable with it. But if you're kind of new to alcohol markers, you might want to use that smaller tip. Because this is such a small area, some people find, just feel a little bit more comfortable using a smaller tip. So I laid down, just like I did before when using the basic black markers, I laid down the light where I wanted the dark to be, then laid the dark over that, and then I'm coming back in with the light to pull it out. There's not going to be a whole lot of gradation of color up here because, again, the light source really wouldn't be hitting up here very much. Her head and hat are covering most of this, so we don't have to worry about that too much. Now I'm going to come down and quickly do her boots, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put my light down first this time. And again, that's just because of the nature of this black. And I just find because it's so dark, doing it this way worked better for me. So I have that, just laid some color down. I'm going to lay the dark right over top of it, what I just laid down, and then come back in with the light and blend it out. And then I'm going to use the color lifter again in just a couple spots on her boots, and it's going to be really cute. So let's pull this out here. And again, I can see a subtle change in color here. I can see a subtle shading, but you probably can't on camera because it is so subtle. So we're going to grab our color lifter again. I think light would probably be hitting this shoe right about here. See that? I'm going to pull this up to the camera in a minute so you can really see. And this shoe right about here. So just gently rub your color lifter over top of that area wherever you want to remove the color, and you'll get really nice shaded effect. Clean off the tip when using the dark colored markers. And now, as you can see, we have some shaded shoes. Isn't that cute? All right, now let's go ahead and grab our markers for her hair. And for her hair, I decided to use light and dark soft suede. So these are the two colors for her shoes. I'm going to start with the dark and go ahead and lay the dark down. Make sure I'm on. Sometimes when I have this zoomed, I end up going off camera, and I'm so sorry about that. I don't mean to do that. Okay, so I'm laying down the dark soft suede just in sort of some of the lines of her hair, just where I think there's going to be a shadow. And now I'm going to come in with the light and pull it out and just blend it all together. And on the first run through with pretty much all of the colors, you're going to see some shading effect immediately. But like I said before and in other videos, I like to hit it twice. I just feel I get better and way awesome results when I do it this way. So now I'm coming back in with the dark As you can see, just running the dark back over where I had those highlights and then coming back in with the light. Now there's something while I'm coloring this hair that I definitely want to mention. I'm just showing you in these technique videos how I like to do the coloring with these alcohol markers, like you would see, you know, people that use Copics or Tombows or, you know, Spectrum Noir markers or whatever. I want to show you that these markers are, you know, in my opinion, far superior, but at the very least, as good as those types of markers. And what's even better is that they match up and coordinate, of course, with all of our inks and papers. However, you can use these markers as you would, you know, when we were kids and we got packages of markers and we just color with our markers in our coloring books. You can use these markers that way too and have absolutely beautiful images. Because they are alcohol markers, they are not going to leave those marker lines. And so you don't have to worry about this fussy shading if you don't want to. You can just color these. You could pick one color from each, you know, instead of using both of them, just use the light soft suede or the dark soft suede by itself and just color her hair. And, you know, you don't have to do it like I'm doing it. I just wanted to show you, my goal is just to show you that you can. That these markers are, you know, comparable to other things on the market, if not better. But you don't have to use them that way if you don't want to. Does that make sense? You know, I'm certainly not in any way saying, I'm using dark granny apple green now. I'm certainly not in any way saying that the way that I'm doing it is the way you have to do it. I'm just showing you that you can create this look with these markers. You don't have to at all. I hope that that makes sense. I just like to show you what the possibilities are with the products, and then it's up to you how you want to use them. It's, you know, it's your card, your creativity, and whatever you choose to do or however you choose to use the markers is absolutely perfect and wonderful. So I just hit it again with the dark granny apple green, and I'm coming back in now with the light to blend it out. As I've mentioned many times, I just like to hit it twice. I find like I get a better look to it. Okay, so that was the Granny Apple Green. Let's go ahead and grab the Mango Melody Dark and Light. These are new to the holiday catalog. And I definitely recommend, if you like our blends, to pick up all of the ones that are in the holiday catalog as soon as you possibly can, because I think they're going to go quickly. And we don't know what, if any, is going to be carried over into the occasions catalog or if it's going to be retired. And my hope, of course, is that all of these markers eventually I'd love to see eventually us have every single Stampin' Up! Color available in the blends. I think that would be the ultimate goal, but we just don't know. So I would definitely pick them up from the holiday catalog as soon as you can if you're interested. So I've just laid down some dark Mango Melody and then the light, and then I'm going to go back in and just relay it down again. Now I'm with the dark. I'm trying to steer a little bit clear of the moon and stars, but I'm not really too worried about it because I'm just going to hit them in a moment with some dark Daffodil Delight. Just a slightly different, you know, hue, but in the same color family as the apron, so I'm not really too worried about that. Now I'm coming in, like I said, with that dark Daffodil Delight and just coloring in the sun, the stars and the moon. I can't speak today. I don't know what my problem is. I feel like I'm blubbering my way through this video. I'm sorry, guys. Coming back in with the dark Mango Melody now and just doing the little cuffs of her dress. Probably only need to hit this one once. Just, you know, in smaller areas, you don't always have to hit it twice. Now what I'm going to do is her little stockings. And for the stockings, I'm going to just alternate purple, orange, purple, orange, purple, orange. So I'm going to start with the Highland Heather, and I'm just going to lay down, I'm going to do this really quick. I'm going to lay down the dark first, and I'm going to start with the dark right underneath her dress and cloak, and then skip one and then dark Highland Heather, and then skip one and then dark Highland Heather. Same thing on the other side. There we go. And then you just pull it out with the light Highland Heather. Again, because these are such small spaces, you're probably okay without doing it twice if you're looking for that blended look. You're going to see it. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing quickly here with the Mango Melody. You're going to start with the dark and just lace them down, and then obviously skip and lace them down and skip and lay it down. Same thing on the other side. and then just grab your light and pull that out. Okay, now for her skin tone, I chose Petal Pink, light and dark. You can create any color hair or any color skin tone you like. I just chose to go with the Petal Pink today, so I'm going to start with the dark. And I'm just simply going to kind of go under her hat and the left side of her face, and then the bottom parts of her hand. Where, in other words, where I feel like there would be a shadow if this were a painting or a picture. And then we take the light and we just blend it out. I'm going to just probably hit her hands just once. That'll probably do it because it's such a small space. I am going to do her face twice. So I'm going to come back in with the dark here, a little bit down her neck, and then pull it back out with the light. And let me bring that up to the camera so you can really see that shading. There we go. Now it's focused. See how it's so much lighter on the right than the left? Love that look. And I just want to show you that you can accomplish that with these markers. I still forgot part of her cloak. I don't know what my problem is with this cloak today. So let's put some black over here. It's going to be quite dark over on this side because her arms are covering it up, so I'm not too super worried about shading or anything over here. All right. Now the final step is I'm just going to take the dark, lovely lipstick Stampin' Blend, and I'm going to add just a little tiny bit of color to her lips. And I want to get kind of close to the paper on this because it's such a tiny space. So if my head gets in, I apologize. And I'm just going to put a little tiny bit of color down. There you go. So now she's wearing her bright red lipstick. Cute. So now let's go ahead and color the broom really quickly. This is so super easy. I'm just going to actually turn my paper like this. I just find that this is a little bit easier. I'm going to take my dark soft suede and just run some up from the bottom and then run some down from the top. And then we'll kind of mix them and meet them together in the middle, and it'll just produce a nice little shaded look to the handle of our broom. I don't know how much of this is showing up well on camera. It's hard to, even with the best of lighting, to get really good, you know, showing of the highlights and the shadows on the camera. I do my best, but I encourage you to go and look at my blog where there will be pictures. That will help, I think, really show what I'm talking about. I went out of the lines a little bit here, so I just want to show you how I can take this color lifter marker and boom, it's erased. It's fixed. It's awesome. Love it. Now we're just going to do the little brush end of the broom. And for that, I'm going to use the soft suede again. I'm going to start with the dark and just put a little bit at the tops of the sections of the broom and then a little bit at the bottom here. Okay, then I'm going to take the soft suede, light soft suede, and pull that down a little bit. Just mix it with the dark that we've laid down already. And then I'm going to take that dark Daffodil Delight that we used for the moon and stars, and I am going to mix that with these browns here to get a really fun broom color. Can you see how that's mixing? And I'm going to go back in with the light soft suede. I found that when mixing three colors, I generally don't have to go back to the first color. I can just go back to the lighter color and then hit that one, the darker parts with the lighter color one more time, and then come in with that lightest color, which in this case is the dark Daffodil Delight, and then mix it all one more time. And we have this fun colored broom. And then I'm just going to take the dark soft suede and just these little ropes that tie the broom together. I'm just going to color that in with just the dark soft suede. Okay, so there we have all of our coloring, and I know that took a little bit of time for purposes of the video, but again, I really just wanted to show you how these markers work and how you can create this type of look if this is what you're going for. So the next step would be to, of course, cut these out. You would just simply use your magnetic plate for your Big Shot and place the dies down like so, and then run it through your Big Shot, and then they cut out perfectly. To save time, I already went ahead and cut mine out with the dies. I colored a whole other set and then cut them out before coming on camera. So here they are. I did take my Wink of Stella pen and I added some Wink of Stella clear glitter to the purple band of her hat, just to give it some glitter, to the cuffs of her sleeves, and to the band of her little apron, and then to the stars and the moon on the apron. Now this probably won't show up on camera, but it does add a nice fun little sparkly look. I'm not gonna, there we go. Can you see that a little bit, at least on the hat there? It's just a cute little extra that you can do. I love my Wink of Stella pen, so I do that often. Add it in little places. Okay, so here it is already cut out. And now it's just time to put the card together. So what I did is I used our Stitched Shapes framelit dies to cut out this stitched oval out of Gorgeous Grape. And then I used our scalloped oval dies, layering scallops, actually, it's called, I'm sorry, layering ovals dies. And this is the scalloped, from the scallop portion of that die set, from our silver glimmer paper. We are going to back the Gorgeous Grape cardstock onto the glimmer paper. Now when you're using glimmer paper and you want to adhere something to it, I recommend using tear and tape or glue dots. I'm going to use some glue dots for this, just because the texture of the glitter paper is grainy and it's just different, and so you need a stronger adhesive than regular snail sometimes to really get it to stick. So as you can see, I've just placed a bunch of glue dots there on the back of that Gorgeous Grape oval, stitched oval, and I'm going to go ahead and center it on top of this silver scalloped oval. And then I'm going to press it down. Okay, so just center that, and there you go. Now what I want to do is turn the little girl over, and I'm going to grab some dimensionals and some mini dimensionals here, and we are going to go ahead and stick her down. So I'm going to put some regular size dimensionals where I can, and then I'll take some teeny tiny ones here and put one probably here. We can put a regular sized one there, and that should work. And then we're just going to peel off the backings here of these dimensionals, and then we will stick this down to our little oval. And I'm going to kind of put her left of center so there's room for the broom. So I'm going to go ahead and stick her right about there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to grab another of our mini glue dots here. And I am going to stick a mini glue dot right on the farthest right side of her hand. It's her left hand, but our right as we're looking at it. I'm going to flip the broom over, and I'm going to stick a little tiny mini glue dot, mini dimensional to the base of the broom, and I'm going to peel off the backing. Now I'm going to go ahead and stick this broom down on the mini dimensional first, and then on that glue dot in her hand. And I actually want it to turn a little bit, so I'm actually going to peel it off and have it go kind of like this, like it's sort of tilted a little bit. There we go, like that. So now it's stuck on that dimensional, and it's stuck to her hand with the mini glue dot. I'm going to grab one more mini glue dot now, and I'm going to make it teeny tiny with my fingers, just kind of wrap it into a ball, and then I'm just going to stick it here so this broom handle is also stuck down at the top of our oval here, so it doesn't, you know, go flying off if you put this in the mail or something. Does that make sense? Okay, so here's our cute little witch. This panel is done. Next, we're going to bring over, this is a Gorgeous Grape card base. It is cut at 8.5 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. I already went ahead and put some Whisper White cardstock on the inside to write your message, since it is a darker card base. We're going to bring over the panel that we did with the black foil panel with the embossing folder, and that we added the shimmer paint to. It's dry. It doesn't take very long at all to dry. Because this is dry embossed, I like to add extra adhesive to the backs of these dry embossed panels, just to make sure that the fibers kind of fuse and everything sticks well. So I did that, and now we're just going to simply layer this black foil panel to the top of our Gorgeous Grape card base. So just center that. And by the way, this black foil paper was cut at 5 1/4 by 4. Okay, so we're just centering that. There we go. Push it down, make sure it's nice and good and stuck. Now we have this little piece of pumpkin pie that's going to run down here and this piece of Designer Series paper from the Toil and Trouble Designer Series paper stack, which is so cute. It coordinates beautifully with this stamp set. So we're just going to quickly adhere the designer paper down to the pumpkin pie. Like so, and then we're just going to turn it back around again and add some adhesive to the back of this. Because it's going on something that's dry embossed, I did add quite a bit of adhesive to the back there, as you can see. And then I'm just going to simply add this, right about here. Maybe 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom, something like that. So just center it as best you can and then go ahead and stick it down. Okay. Then we're going to take our little oval with our witch on it, and we're going to grab some dimensionals and give this a little bit of a pop. So just peel off your backings. And then stick this down left of center, so it's kind of over here, like so. Now from the stamp set, there's this cute little sentiment that says Happy Halloween right here. I simply used my Memento Tuxedo Black ink and stamped that on some gorgeous grape cardstock. And then I used my triple banner punch, which looks like this here, to put the little banner at the bottom. And then I wrapped a bunch of silver metallic thread to the back and stuck it to the dimensionals, which you guys have seen me do in my videos before. And I'm gonna stick that here. I love the look of the metallic thread, so it's just a little extra something I like to add to my designs. Next, we're gonna grab some of this beautiful black glittered organdy ribbon. It is so beautiful. We're gonna stick it inside the card base and then bring it around and just make sure that we cut enough so that we can tie a bow. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it off from the spool now, and then simply tie a bow in this upper right hand corner. So I know that's kind of hard because my hands are in the way to show exactly what I'm doing on camera here, but I'm just tying a normal little bow. So just pull it tight there to make your knot, and then make the ears of your bow. And then if you want to make your bow smaller, you just pull on the tails and then you can trim it. I'm not going to fiddle too much with it because this video is already long enough, but what I do recommend, when you've got your bow how you want it, grab a mini glue dot and stick it to the back of the center of the bow. Now I wanted to add a little spider charm. So I grabbed a small piece here of this basic black solid baker's twine. And what I did was I simply ran some underneath the bow. So I just kind of stuck it up. So now here it is. You see it's on both sides of the ribbon. And then I grabbed one of these little spider charms. They're so cute. I'm trying to open it the wrong way though. Hold on. Okay, they're so sweet. Well, maybe sweet isn't the right word. They are spiders, but really cute and perfect for the project. So we'll just leave it at that. And then we just simply want to get this baker's twine through this little spider charm. All right, and that can be a little tricky, sort of like threading a needle, but you just want to get the baker's twine through the charm. There you go. And so then, now that I have the baker's twine on either side of the bow, I'm going to make a double knot. Can you guys see what I'm doing? I'm just making a double knot here. And this black baker's twine won't even be seen when we're all done. And I'm going to, so this, I made one knot. This is my second knot to double knot this. I'm going to turn my little spider around so he's facing the correct way. And then what I want to do is trim off the black baker's twine. So you can just snip it right at the bottom. And then you can turn it so it's on the back of the bow. You can discard your scraps or save them for another project. And this is our card after, of course, I trim this crazy, beautiful organdy ribbon that had a little too long. Okay. All right, guys. So that is our cute little card with our little spider. What do you guys think? I hope that you enjoyed this video and that this gives you some ideas of how to use your Stampin' blends to create fun shaded effects. I really, really, really enjoyed putting this card together. I hope you love it. I apologize for the length of the video, but again, I really just wanted to show you what these alcohol markers from Stampin' Up! Can do. So thank you guys so much as always for stopping by. Make sure to check out my online card class using this bundle, and I will catch you in the next video. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.